Today in Westminster, the temperature went from tense to volcanic. Nigel Farage stands up. The Commons roars. Keir Starmer locks eyes across the dispatch box. No spin room, no friendly sofa, just the floor of Parliament and a leader under fire. Was this a one-off ambush? Or the moment Britain's political map started to redraw itself again? Stay with me. In the next few minutes, what triggered this clash? The exchange itself, the shockwaves across the country, and what it means for your wallet, your community, and the future of British politics. To understand why this eruption matters, you need the setup. After the 2024 general election, Nigel Farage finally entered the Commons as an MP and leader of Reform UK. That put him face-to-face with a Labour Prime Minister for the first time in the chamber. Through early and mid-2025, Reform's polling bite forced Labour to treat Farage not as a sideshow, but as the main rival narrative, especially on the economy and immigration. In late May 2025, Starmer publicly attacked Farage's proposals as fantasy economics that could crash the economy, like ending them to the market turmoil of the 2020 to Truss episode. Reuters the same week, Starmer framed Reform as Labour's principal challenger, warning Tories were sliding into the abyss, a strategic pivot that elevated Farage as a direct foil to the PM. By autumn 2025, even mainstream markets watchers were writing about Brexit. Again, Starmer's team weighing a Europe rethink in part to blunt Farage's pressure from the right populist flank. Inside the Commons, the friction has been visible for months, especially at PMs over immigration and small boats numbers, where heckling often drowns out the MICS. So when Farage rose today, you could feel it. This wasn't a routine intervention. It was a set piece. It assured the chamber, wall-to-wall noise, Labour backbenchers bristling, the Reform benches coiled, Farage's opening gambit, the ambush, a tightly framed prosecutorial question aimed at Starmer's core claim to economic competence, linking the cost of living to migration pressures and public service strain, then challenging the PM to either declare a national emergency threshold or explain why the government's current approach is sufficient. He's pressed this line before, demanding harder targets and emergency-style measures. Why that matters? Starmer has been trying to pull debate back to growth, stability, and credibility after years of volatility. He's attacked Farage's economic math as uncosted and dangerous. So Farage's question compressed the two fronts, immigration and affordability, into one trap. If Starmer downplays the pressure, he looks out of touch. If he escalates, he validates Farage's frame. Starmer's counter, he rejects the emergency framing, pivots to macro stability, arguing that serious government means protecting markets, funding services responsibly, and refusing fantasy tax arithmetic. That echoes his May 29th line that Reform's numbers don't add up, drawing parallels to the 2020 meltdown while reassuring the public that competence beats spectacle. The twist inside the clash: Farage doesn't duel only over numbers. He goes after representation, accusing Labour of ignoring working class pressures and challenging Starmer's connection to those voters. This has been a deliberate Reform line. We're the voice of working people. Starmer has been swatting that away all year. But on the Commons floor, it hits differently because it invites raw, personal contrast. The room reacts, heckles fly. The speaker calls for order. This isn't just debate, it's a fight over who speaks for Britain in 2025. Televised, media blast radius, clips explode across social feeds, one side cutting Farage's soundbites into 30-second torpedoes, the other pushing Starmer's serious government lines as the adults in the room answer. PM's exchanges between them have already shown how quickly snippets go viral. For Labour, today's clash risks cementing Farage as Starmer's main opponent in the public mind, exactly what Labour has sometimes tried to avoid. But it also gives Starmer a platform to draw a bright line between fiscal realism and populist promises. For Reform UK, the exchange fuels momentum with voters who feel priced out and unheard. Farage thrives on confrontation, especially when it forces establishment leaders into reactive mode. The more the PM responds, the more level the contest can seem. For the Brexit Europe question, each Commons flashpoint makes it harder for Labour to avoid Europe-adjacent fixes standards alignment. Trade smoothing without looking like it's ducking the Farage critique. That's why you've seen reporting on a potential rethink. Inside Westminster, allies brief the lobby. Labour emphasizes fiscal responsibility and delivery. Reform claims a win on saying the quiet part out loud. The Tory benches caught between argue both rivals are wrong for the country. But the cameras weren't on them today. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Moments like this are less about who won the clip and more about agenda setting. If Farage sets the frame immigration as a system-wide emergency squeezing wages, housing, and services, then every subsequent policy story is judged against that bar. If Starmer sets the frame stability first, costed plans, and renewed European pragmatism to unblock growth, then the public conversation tilts toward patience and why you should care. Your bills and benefits, competing tax and spend visions affect take-home pay, pensions, and public service queues. Independent analysts have warned some headline-friendly pledges carry eye-watering price tags, cost pressure that lands on you. Community pressure points, net migration, and local capacity GP appointments. School places, housing are the front line of this debate. Commons clashes decide which levers get pulled and how fast. Britain's place in Europe. A softer rethink on technical alignment could ease trade friction and lower some prices, but invites fire from those who want a harder line. That argument just moved up the agenda. Verified, Starmer has repeatedly attacked reform's fiscal plans as risky and fantasy, drawing a direct line to the 2022 market chaos. That's on record from late May 2025. Labour has positioned reform as a primary challenger in public remarks, raising Farage's profile as a foil. Verified, reporting in October 2025 outlined Labour's Europe rethink, partly to neutralize Farage's pressure. Viral titles claiming anyone was dragged out or ousted live aren't supported by reputable outlets. Treat those thumbnails as entertainment, not evidence. So did Farage ambush Starmer today? Or did Starmer use the moment to define the adult alternative? Is this the spark that makes reform the country's main opposition in the minds of voters, or the day Labour put a ceiling on Faragism? I want to hear your take. Who controlled the frame, Farage or Starmer, and why? Drop a comment with one sentence on the moment that changed your mind. If you value fact-checked analysis without the hype, like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps more people cut through the noise.